that was it. And we went home, and 2 weeks later, I got on a plane, and my life changed completely after that. And that was it. And, those memories will always be with me for the rest of my life.
Welcome to the Eating with Experts podcast, food media from people who've actually worked in the industry.
Each episode, we'll sit down with world-class chefs, bartenders and owners, as well as industry insiders, food journalists, and people with a love of the food and restaurant world. We'll swap stories, share behind-the-scenes moments, and get real recommendations on where to eat and drink and what makes this industry so fascinating.
For our first ever episode, we have Chef Ryan Bartlow, the owner of Ernesto's and Bartolo, which focus on Spanish cuisine. He was on the opening team at both Alinea and French Air and spent his early 20s in the Basque Country at the 3 Michelin-starred Aquelarre. He's what you call a chef and has some really interesting perspectives on the industry. Chef, where have you been dining lately?
Where did I go?
You went to Katz's recently.
Oh, yes. Went to Katz's the other day. Very good. So I snuck out of work and beat the line. And
Had it been a while?
It had been probably, I usually try to go at least once a year.
Yeah.
So it had been quite a while. Got right in, got what I love to get, which is the trio of pastrami, tongue, and a little bit of brisket.
Oh, okay.
The brisket kind of cuts through the kind of salinity of the pastrami and the tongue.
Yeah.
Steak fries, Dr. Brown's cherry soda.
Old school.
Sometimes an egg cream, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that I went to recently. I mean, I've been kind of getting just more craveable foods. Before work the other day, I popped in to Apollo Bagels, the one in the West Village that's near our restaurant. Got the classic lox cream cheese. So, when I've had time, it's usually been like quicker places.
Yeah, but you're doing a big dinner tonight, right?
Yes, tonight we're celebrating the birthday of one of our employees, and our group kept growing. We were going to go to Fort Charles, and now we're going to their sister restaurant, which is Monkey Bar in Midtown, which is fun and great, grand, big room, very New York. Nice, cool paintings on the, kind of the old, like Bemelman style artwork on all the walls.
So I haven't been to either, and they're both on my list, but Bemelman's is even higher.
Yes, it's special.
Yeah.
You go there for the martini, snacks. If there's a show, it's really important to watch whatever is being performed, usually some kind of jazz trio or something.
Yeah.
It's a good time. And then you can either stay there, you can get out, you can go to Café Boulud right around there. You're still in that kind of quintessential pocket, old Upper East Side, which is fun for a night.
Old worldy vibe.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. We went to Donahue's recently. Have you ever been there?
Yes. the best checkered floors in
the biggest martini sidecar I've ever had.
Yeah, but the linoleum there is awesome.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I usually go there on St. Patty's Day.
Oh, nice.
After I walk around, every year I get invited to a breakfast that they do at Smith & Wollensky. And that's fun. And then afterwards we'll walk around and I'll go there. But Donahue's is another quintessential place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, Smith & Wollensky was another thing. So Bemelman's was on my winter bucket list. Smith & Wollensky wine dinner, because they do like a $95 wine dinner.
Yeah.
So it's just copious amounts of wine.
They have an incredible cellar there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really...
We've got to go. And then your Bartolo Cocchinillo is on the winter bucket list.
You better reserve your seat because it's coming in fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and the suckling lamb. So, I actually got to sit down at Bartolo the other day and eat a little bit, and I was very happy with my meal there. So, obviously.
Yeah.
So, it was good. All the pinchos, suckling lamb chops, a bottle of Remy Uri, which is incredible wine coming from La Rioja, and that's it.
Is the wine list mainly Spanish?
Mainly, yeah. I think 95%, besides some champagne that Daryl has. Daryl Koch, our wine director. Shout out to Daryl.
Yeah. She's big on the sherry, right? So big sherry
she
program.
Probably has the most profound and exclusive and large list of sherries in New York, if not in the country.
Every time we go to your restaurant, she's saying something. This is the last bottle. This is the only bottle. You can't get this anymore, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's a real student of the craft and of the product, and she's been to the region many times. I think she's going back to Spain soon, and we've been really lucky. It's been a lot of fun to work with her and kind of channel this whole outpour of this type of cuisine and this lifestyle and all the products into both of our restaurants. So it's been really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So Chef Ryan Bartlow, you're at the helm of Ernesto's on the Lower East Side.
Yes.
Now Bartolo in the West Village.
Yes.
But before that, you started at Baskin Robbins, worked in your native Chicago at Alinea, and then in the Basque Country at Akalari.
Yes.
But before all of that, or during that time, like those were your formative years. Can you just talk us through some of those periods that really shaped you as a chef?
Yeah. I mean, from the get-go, when I was old enough to have a job, my father told me to get a job, or else I would have to either go to summer camp or something. And I think I was around 14. And I was lucky enough, I used to spend my afternoons skateboarding and then going into Baskin Robbins. And then one day I asked for a job there. And I was fortunate enough to start the very next day. And in that period of time working, I had a routine all set up. Every day I'd get out of school, ride my skateboard down to the ice cream parlor, whatever you want to call it. First thing I do is, mop the floor, spray all the glass, wipe the windows, wipe the tables, sweep, go behind the whole case, the display case. You had to kind of scrape down all the tubs, make them nice and clean. It was around 3:30, 4 o'clock. You knew you were going to get a little bit of a rush. Obviously, living in Chicago, winters weren't always the most busy. It wasn't the busy season.
Yeah.
Which actually was more fun for me because then I could just sit in the back and eat ice cream all day.
Yeah, you got to sample.
Creations. So, but it was really a great opportunity to start learning how to interact with people. It was my first taste of hospitality. Everything from being organized to engaging with the customer, figuring out what people like, what they don't like, knowing what they'll come back for, having regulars. I knew a certain couple would always get butter pecan, and if we were out of it, I'd offer them Jamocha almond fudge or pistachio almond. Every day I would check the inventory. We had this park, so I had to go in and count all the tubs of ice cream in the freezer, which took about an hour. And then before the rush would come, I'd have everything set up from my register, my tip cup, all my toppings, all my scoopers, everything clean, make sure the soda fountain worked properly, the hot fudge was nice and tempered and all emulsified, everything ready to go. And I was prepared.
Yeah.
By 8 o'clock during summertime, when it was like Little League season, when everyone would get done, they'd walk, and
The rush.
the coaches and all the kids, and that was like, that was my first taste of the rush. you know?
Yeah.
And before I knew it, a couple years later, I was managing it, decorating clown cones and grasshopper pies and ice cream cakes and doing orders and all this stuff. So I didn't know that it would end up taking me to where it took me, but I knew that I could do something that I liked enough other than like DJing or skateboarding or going to punk rock shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That had a little bit more structure to it. So from there, I moved on to working at the first kind of organic grocery store in our neighborhood. It was kind of a prelude to Wild Whole Foods. It was called Wild Oats.
Right.
Same thing though. And I worked in the deli department, and within a year I was again managing it. So every day getting all the perfect kale leaves and putting the big compound salads in the deli case, making sure the pizzas were baked in the pizza oven, trussing chickens, putting them on the rotisserie the right way. You'd have to crack it a certain way to make sure it would crack. And
were those places that had those processes and you just jumped into it, or you kind of lent into that side a lot more?
well, again, it was part of, I think, a bigger corporate model.
Yeah.
So they had people that came in to help open it and kind of show you the way. So you had to learn how to trust this chicken the right way. And it would only be trussed properly and go on that whatever you want to call it, the rotisserie spit or stick, if it cracked a certain way. You almost like the rib cage would crack and then you knew it was on. Because if you didn't, it would kind of dangle when it's rotating. You want it like all the way perfectly. So, before you know it, you're learning all these things. And then when it came time to really, you're getting out of high school, I still didn't feel like I was, growing up in Chicago, a lot of people I knew were either going away or they were going to go to a Big Ten school, and that wasn't really for me. So I really was interested in food and dining, didn't know where it would take me.
Yeah.
I always also loved to write.
Mm.
And I thought about possibly becoming a food critic or a journalist of some sort. I'm glad I'm not now.
Yeah.
Chef and a food critic. But yeah, and my senior year of high school, I was fortunate enough because I showed so much enthusiasm in home economics that I became a teacher's assistant. So half of the school day, I just hung out in home ec and helped teach classes about cooking with my teacher. And before I knew it, I knew I was going to go to culinary school and got on a good program to go. And I went to Kendall College, which is a culinary school that was at the time in Evanston, just north of Chicago, like basically Northwestern campus. And that's truly how I got into the game. And I was fortunate enough to grow up with parents that knew about restaurants, especially in Chicago, which to this day still has a great dining scene. And even back then in the 80s and 90s growing up, there was a culture of all types of restaurants. From, so I was exposed to all kinds of food.
Like the Charlie Trotter stuff.
Yeah, I mean, from high-end Charlie Trotters to the first time my dad bringing home, Ladnar and Larb from the best Thai restaurant that was on the Northwest side, or going up to Devon Street, which is known for, Indian and Pakistani restaurants, or having incredible, Mexican food. So I was lucky enough to taste all these things before I even graduated high school. So I had already this kind of sensation and this urge for food. And I knew if I wasn't going to do anything else, I could at least, I love to eat. I love going to restaurants. I like cooking. And that was it. And you also got to remember too, at that time, that was kind of when, say what you want, but that's when the Food Network was really starting. So a lot of my buddies and I would get out of school, go to someone's house, hang out, and we flip on TV, whether we watch MTV. And one of my friends, though, he'd always put on like The Essence of Emerald, or Bobby Flay used to have a show called Grillin' and Chillin',
right,
which I've talked to him about. And it was very, very basic Food Network stuff, but it was actually, the real kind of raw, hardcore, like just Emerald in the studio before he even had Emerald Live, and it was just him cooking, making recipes.
Food Network was definitely on the background in my house too.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
And it was, back then he was probably like cooking in a studio like this, making, 12 episodes in one shot, and then flying back to New Orleans the next day, flying to New York. So that was kind of a big influence too. So I was already just exposed to all this stuff going on. And obviously, yes, there was this level of, higher end, iconic restaurants in the Chicagoland area, from Charlie Trotter's to Le Francais, which was Jean Banchet, which was a very famous restaurant in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, started by a chef from Lyon, who he, created. It was actually really close to O'Hare Airport. People used to fly in and go there. And
really?
It was very much a dining destination. Let's say maybe you had to fly from New York to LA. A lot of people, high rollers, would fly to O'Hare for the night, eat dinner, get a hotel, and go move on. So that was there was a lot of culture of just all types of restaurants. And
I saw your dad commented on one of your posts that when you were 16 you asked for a jacket and tie and some gray pants, and you looked in the mirror and said, now I can go to a Michelin star restaurant.
Yes.
So you were into that from a young age.
Well, I knew that was the way you had to dress to get in. So I was studying, I was aware, I was ready.
Yeah.
So,
and speaking of dressing, where does the inspiration behind the fedora come from? Because I feel like it's sort of become your signature look.
It has. And it has been for about 20 years.
Okay.
Since I've been in New York, most of my time was spent, and still is, right here in the Lower East Side. And I became friends with a lot of people, artists, mill workers, photographers, t-shirt designers, leather makers. That was, at least when I lived on Orchard Street, what it was back then. Things have changed a lot, and there's still a lot of new young people doing incredible stuff. Yeah. But one of the first stores that was on the block on Orchard Street between Broome and Grand was a shop called Still Life. It was run by a guy that I became good friends with. He was an incredible mill worker, made hats, and I just started wearing his hats, and before I knew it, within a year or two, it became kind of like the thing. And another buddy of mine, who I'm still good friends with. His name is Chuck. He owns a store called The Cast, which is still on Orchard Street, and he makes incredible custom leather. As you can see, my Bartolo.
wow. That's
Nice,
so cool.
personalized.
This is all Italian lambskin. Okay,
It's nice.
Lamb Pro zippers and silk on the inside.
Wow.
And he actually lived on my building on Orchard and Canal, and we became good friends, and we still are to this day. And he always had great stuff, custom stuff. That we always had this kind of affectation for old New York, 1970s, late 70s, rock and roll, punk rock, the Ramones, Richard Hell. I think once you finally find something and you have a look,
Yeah.
you just stick to it. It's like your uniform. It's like you see certain people, I don't know who they're, Fran Lebowitz always has her blazer on, and jeans and cowboy boots, right? Like, you just know what works.
Yeah, I can't get rid of my mustache now.
There you go.
My mustache and my accent are my two defining.
Well, yeah, people are not going to know who you are if you try to flip it on them.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to keep it for what it is. But that's really it. I mean, it was a matter of really becoming, the one great thing I think about New York when you're young, I moved here when I was 24, 25, is you can really finally get away from, not that you're trying to essentially always escape, but really just become who you want to be.
Become who you are, really.
Become who you are, who you're supposed to be. And I just knew, the one great thing about this place, there's just that much more, whether you're talking about food or restaurants or clothing or art, it's just that much more vast and at the same time accessible. It's right there. And if you see something like, wow, growing up in Chicago, we had a lot of great stuff, but maybe I could never find a shop that had this or a place that had this. And I see it, I'm like, that's me. I know I need this. I know it's going to become a part of me. And it did. And it still is. And now it's become kind of part of my identity that I can't really do anything
signature.
without it.
You gotta keep it. But your chefs wear the old school hats too, right?
Yeah.
Some wear the big hat, some wear the little.
I wear the little hat. I mean, when I worked in Europe, when I worked at Accolare, which was a 3-star Michelin classic brigade restaurant, 2 Molteni stoves. Pedro, my chef, he came from the old school. He studied under Luis Irizar and Paul Bocuse, and so he still made us all wear big toques. Over time, I thought those were kind of ridiculous, but I think sometimes I got to the point where, I like wearing some kind of paper hat. It's like a little one because it's also just the reminder of where you came from. It's like, for me, it's like, all right, it's still part of you no matter what. And you carry, even though I wear most of the time, button down dish coat, sometimes an apron, sometimes I'll wear a Brigade chef coat, but always the hat as a reminder of where I came from. And, you don't want to forget that. And at the same time, it's also become this kind of a signature thing that I do.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about that time in the Basque Country? Because you were kind of in the Basque Country before it was cool and popular how it is now.
Yes, I can. I got there mainly because when you're young at that time, if you had a chance, I mean, you see it now, if you have an opportunity for me, I only lived in Chicago. I barely ever went to the ocean. That was like a thing growing up. Whenever we had vacation, it was most of the time my dad would go, well, we're going up to Michigan, and going to Lake Michigan, which now I wish I could go to because it's so nice. It's lovely there. But then there was always this kind of, if you really wanted to do this thing, doing a year abroad in France or somewhere, if you really could do it and pull it off and be a commis and a stage and do the whole thing, I thought, let's figure out how to do it. I've seen other people do it. I was reading books, and I'd lay up in bed. I was 18, 19 years old, reading cookbooks, reading old Ducasse books, and being like, how can I get there, And you got to remember, this is 2002, 2003. There wasn't the ability to communicate the way you can now. So I was fortunate when I graduated from school, I was chosen to go to Lyon, to the Bocuse d'Or, which is the biannual culinary competition. one of like 8 students, and it was my first kind of exposure to European gastronomy. I mean, also you're landing in Lyon, which is like still, I mean, in some circles, not the only, but one of the major hubs of gastronomy of the last 200-300 years, right? Up until, when Nouvelle cuisine really developed in the 70s. So I never gone to a market like the first one I went to in Lyon, seeing all the vegetables and all the charcuterie and again going with the chickens on the spit. But these weren't the same chickens I saw working at the Whole Foods, Wild Oats. These ones were beautiful and fatty and yellow, and they had potatoes lurking on the bottom of the whole rotisserie that all the drippings go on. I mean, it was like, this is incredible. Like, why aren't we doing this here? So either way, went to the Bocuse d'Or. There's a trade show going on, all these different conferences and stuff. One room had incredible cookbooks. I was mesmerized. And at the same time, you're smelling foie gras, seared cooking for the first time, all these things going on. And I looked at one book that really captivated me, and it was huge, and it was abstract and different. It was El Bulli, it was Ferran and Albert Adrià, and it really just took my breath away just by how striking it was. So then I started, I went back home and I started hearing about all these things going on in Spain, and I'm like, well, maybe Spain is the place to go, and I'm reading about El Bulli in particular, and I'm finding out though that the tenure, if you can even get in, is only 6 months, because you're only there for the season, which they were only open 6 months out of the year.
Right.
The rest of the season, they're all in their lab in Barcelona, and their taller, whatever they want to call it, working, really creating the menu for the next year. Then I started hearing a little bit more about the Basque Country. There was an article in one of the OG original Savior magazines when it was still like run by Coleman Andrews, I think, or I don't know who, but there was an article, and I actually talked to someone recently who came to Bartolo who was involved with this article, and they wrote a whole feature about La Temporada, which is this kind of party festival that they have every January where people dress up in chef whites and bang drums through the city to kind of celebrate their independence when they separated from France.
Right.
So anyways, I got mesmerized by just reading about San Sebastian and this and that. And then I remember telling my dad about it, and he said, listen, I think you would love it here. He goes, I haven't been since I was your age and I went to run with the bulls in Pamplona. But if you want to go, let's figure out a way. Maybe I can help you. And sure enough, him and I booked a flight to Madrid and then got in a car and drove 5 hours north to San Sebastian. And at that time, I had kind of emailed a few places, and you'd get some response or some CVs or something, but it was like very few and far between, And one place in particular that really responded was Acalare. And we went for lunch, and while we were there, Pedro Subijana, the chef, he came out into the kitchen and he said, he said to us, or I said to him, bueno, yo tengo ganas de trabajar. I want to work, and he said, si quieres, ya puede venir en 2 semanas. Like, if you really want to, come back in 2 weeks. So that was kind of it. And it's crazy because you're sitting out in this dining room, this beautiful Michelin dining room, and you're looking out and you see the beautiful Bay of Biscay, and you see all the work that he's put in. I mean, it's magnificent. So, that day, his assistant, who was also the maitre d' of the restaurant, took us up outside of this beautiful Relais Chateau parking lot, and then you're on this little winding gravel road, and you go about a quarter of a mile into this tiny little mountainside village, and there's this incredible 200-year-old structure, like it's a old Basque tavern with a couple apartments on the second floor. She walks me up these stone steps. Looks almost very like medieval. I mean, northern Spain, you were there. It's a lot of green, it almost looks very Celtic, and, it looks, like you could be in Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. They actually filmed some of Game of Thrones in
Did they?
in the Basque Country. Yeah,
The
wall thing.
It reminded me of where I'm from in England, like
It's very
Devon
similar.
Cornwall area,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's all similar. So, you walk up to Sing, and then there's an apartment, and I look at it, my dad, and he goes, and then we meet the family that runs it, and the grandmother, her name was Dolores, and he goes, I think you're gonna be okay. And I said, all right, and that was it. And we went home, and 2 weeks later, I got on a plane, and my life changed completely after that, and that was it. And those memories will always be with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And so did you, with opening Ernesto's, which was early 2020, was, that kind of driven by those years, I imagine?
Yes. Yeah. I think I always had the
concept
in my head to want to do this thing that I think was still maybe not lacking, but through my lens, and I called it Ernesto's because there's this parallel, say what you want about Hemingway, whatever, but take away all his demons and stuff. I mean, I like him was from the western suburbs of Chicago, grew up in Chicago, spent my summers in northern Michigan, and made my way to this other part of the world, specifically where he went, that kind of made an impact that influenced his entire career. So yeah, I mean, when we were throwing names around, I remember being in Basque Country. There's still places called Don Ernesto and stuff. So
is that?
Yeah. So I just remember it just made sense. It's part of the story. But I knew when I came back that at some point I'd found something. I was part of something that I don't think a lot of people had really grasped or appreciated or shown. And that was something I always wanted to do. I knew, I worked at many different types of restaurants after that. Became chef of many different other restaurants, different cuisines. But in my head, it always struck with me, mostly because I missed it so much. I missed the people, I missed the friends, I missed the cuisine, the culture, I missed the ingredients. So I thought, if I can't be there all the time, I will bring it here to New York. And that's what we did. And I think over time, it's really spoken for itself for what it's become. And I'm very proud and happy with it. And that, led up to the second place. But that's kind of how it started, but it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have had the opportunity and the experiences. But again, even beyond that, you could be somewhere, and it's up to you to, like, on your day off, are you going to get in a car with your buddy and drive 4 hours to this place to have lunch at this place? Can you afford it? Do you want to go explore? I had other friends. I think that's no different than people that live in New York that maybe don't take advantage and go to Katz's. I walk past it every day. Well, let's go in here. Meaning that there's so many things that I think people, when they live somewhere, they forget.
You don't appreciate.
They take for granted what's right in front of them. Don't go here. Don't do this. I'm the first one to admit that I do that. But
every time I go back home now to England, I'm like, why didn't I surf more? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I go to this restaurant?
So, I mean, I was like a sponge where every free moment, because we also were working hard at this restaurant. You have to be there. The one great thing I will say was the Spanish way of life, where they did give you a siesta in the middle of the day. Siesta meaning you had a 3-hour break to do what you wanted to do. So you'd start the day at, I think, 10, work till 2 or 3.
You would have lunch service, or you were just prepping?
We had lunch service. Oh yeah, big time. Lunch service, get done, clean up, and then you'd have to be back 7:30, 8 o'clock. But you had a good, 3 hours. Take the bus into town. I would go to the gym or swim or walk. This is pre-phones or laptops. You'd have to go to an internet cafe and go on. I think it's even pre-MySpace. It's 2003, 4, 5. So it was like that was it. You sit in the internet cafe with people you didn't know and have to listen to them. People playing, games with each other. It was Halo was going on. Remember all that? So that's what was going on. So that was my day. But then you go back at night and you'd finish, and it was great. And go home, get really good sleep. But it was a long day. So then if there was ever time off in peak season, especially in the Basque Country, summertime. So,
yeah, I mean, we just went in August. It was crazy
So
now.
August, like where other places, other parts of probably Spain or France or Italy are on holiday, considering San Sebastian's a big kind of, resort town or vacation place. A lot of people, because it is north, the climate's a little better probably in August than if you're down in, when you're in like
Mallorca
Sevilla,
and all that,
Marbella, it's hot, man. So up there, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So people would come up there, and it was a party. But we had to work. We'd be off Sunday night and Monday. So Tuesday would be back at work. So you'd be working, 5.5 days, almost 6 days. Then though, when was slow season, we'd be off Sunday. Yeah, I think Sunday, Monday, 2 days. But just that alone, or no, excuse me, we'd be off I think we work always Sunday. So we'd be off Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. And those nights you would go into like the Pincho bars of San Sebastian or doing it all like Gitara?
No, I mean, we would, I was, again, at certain days we would stay in town and, if we could afford it, you'd go get Pinchos, maybe. But if there were days where we'd have enough money where we would we'd take a drive and go to Guitaria and go eat, all of us split a turbo and fish soup and hang out for the day and a couple of bottles of chocolate. I mean, and you could afford it back then. It was pretty awesome. Or we drive to, outside of Basque Country into Castiglione. And probably the best meal I ever had was at my friend's house. A lot of people, once you start leaving the Basque Country and get to more central Spain, it gets more kind of arid and deserty. And I remember my friend, he had a house. He lived with his parents in town, but they had what they called like a campo, like a little ranch house outside. I wouldn't call it desert. It doesn't look like Arizona, but it's a little, more dry. There isn't a lot of vegetation, and a lot of people beyond their little campo. You walk down the road, and they have these little, cavas or cuevas. Basically, there's like right built into the mountain, little doors with numbers, and everybody has their own little dining room. And you go downstairs and go in, and it's the perfect temperature all year long. It's never too hot, never too cold, and it's the perfect climate for having an incredible meal. Also, that's where people would ferment cheese, wine, charcuterie.
So you're seeing all that stuff being made, and you're like, this is another world.
Well,
really.
yeah, but I remember that night, so a bunch of us went down for, and maybe 10 people all stayed at my buddy's place, and we're all hanging out, drinking, we were kids. And that afternoon of that night, we went down into the cave to the dining room, and Javi's mother came, and she brought, this whole, I'd never seen anything, huge, now I have one at Bartolo, this huge, beautiful terracotta vessel. And she unwrapped the foil, and it was this big, beautiful, whole suckling lamb. And I'd never seen anything like this. And before that, she puts it to the side. She makes a huge, thick tortilla de patata, salad, cheese, jamon. And then we're all drinking the local wine. Way before everyone talked about natural wine, this was the wine you're drinking out of a bota, which is like this leather sack, almost like a porron. Spilling it all over each other, getting drunk. And it was on a Sunday, because I remember what you could do is you used to be able to buy a whole lamb, and you would pay for it and take it to the local bakery, and they would bake it in the oven.
Wow.
You pick it up, and to this day, I'll say it was probably the best meal I ever had in my life.
Really?
Just the moment, the experience, the food, the camaraderie of the people I was with.
That feeling you have.
That feeling. And I remember there were like, when I first moved there were days where I was down. It would be rainy. I missed my girlfriend at the time, who was back in Chicago. We broke up, it was like sad. And just to talk on the phone, you had to buy a phone card in town, walk down like halfway down this huge hill from our little house, the tavern where I lived, and go to this phone booth and have to call. I remember calling my parents, and my dad would be like, I'm just letting you know, you will never have this moment again in your life. So try to figure out a way to enjoy it and appreciate it.
That's
and
awesome.
Like 3 months later, by the time they came to visit that summer, I was like, I'm not leaving. Like, I loved it.
Oh my gosh.
And it became Yeah, I mean, so every opportunity I had, we would travel. We'd go up to the French Basque Country. We'd go to other parts of Spain. You know, I was very fortunate. My good buddy, my roommate, he was from Cordoba. So on holiday, I'd go down to Andalusia to his house. We'd spend Christmas there. We'd spend, you know, anytime it was vacation. So you're down in this whole other part of the world, which is completely different than the Basque Country. You know, their house in their little pueblo, it almost looks like, you know, everything's white. It almost looks like Mykonos, you know, it's all just white and clay. Have you ever see Galicia or Cordoba?
Yeah.
Because the heat and the sun just hits you so hard. They all have these really hard shades that close the sun out, you know. Anyways, it was great. And all those memories, I packaged them up, you know, wrapped them up, and I said, I'm going to save you for a rainy day.
Yeah.
And then when it was time to do it, you know, we did it. So,
So it was, you went to the Basque Country, fell in love with it, everything about it.
Yeah.
How long was Ernesto's, or the idea of Ernesto's, percolating in your mind to when it actually opened?
Forever, you know. I think I initially wanted to just do like a hardcore pincho bar and like nothing else.
Stand up,
That's
or maybe
cool.
some seats, but like bar, kitchen right behind it. Obviously, things change. You get involved with other people. You know, I work intensely now with my wife and her sister, and they bring a whole other level of probably, you know, it's like once they add all these other elements, you kind of have to up your game now too, and to make it more of a restaurant or more of this and that.
Yeah.
But I always had this idea that I wanted to do this thing, and I think considering I had become so acclimated to living in the Lower East Side, it just seemed like, I guess, the place to do it. Ironically enough, my first apartment when I moved to New York was right behind where Ernesto's is still. So
That's full circle.
it is full circle. And I moved from there about five. I used to live right on Henry between Clinton and Montgomery, and then I moved 6 blocks. I lived on Orchard and Canal for years, and then Orchard and Hester. So I was never that far. I lived in what was considered, you know, Dime Square way before it was that.
like trendy.
So when did you meet Davida, and how long was it from then to when you opened Ernesto's?
Good question. So I met Davida.
Pressure's on now.
No, I met her when I was working. I just opened Quality Eats in the West Village for Michael Stillman, which was an interesting concept at the time too, which I enjoyed doing. I mainly got involved with that because I had left a job and I was going to work with the guys, you know, Lee and Riyadh from Frenchette. They had left. They had parted ways with Keith McNally and Minetta, and they were going to work with a group to take over the Chelsea Hotel, the first restaurant being El Quijote. After X amount of months, it didn't work out. So it had only been about 3 months before I met Davida. So, and
Where did you guys meet?
We had met through. We had never met properly. I think we'd met informally through a mutual friend.
Okay.
and through that, I think I saw that she had like followed me on Facebook.
Okay.
You know, and I was like looking at her like, oh, she's cute. You know, I don't know. But then I like saw like she had eaten at all these fancy restaurants. I'm like, who's this girl eating at L'Arpège in Paris? And there's a photo of her with a Lampassard, like, you know, and I'm like, all right, maybe she knows her stuff. So I think it was finally around New Year's Eve 2015 to 2016, I was with my good friend, probably my best friend, Brant, he was at the event last night. I don't know if you saw him. But, anyways, I'm always with him. But I've known him since I was 11 years old. We grew up together in Chicago. So I was with him, and we were at a bar, my friend's bar in Williamsburg, and I DM'd her, and I just asked her out. And 3 days later, we went on our first date at what was then, it's not there anymore, the original Uncle Boone's.
Okay.
And you know, we hit it off.
It was like an immediate hit off?
Yes, I think it was. I think I think I knew within a few minutes I was probably going to marry her,
Nice.
So
That's nice.
here we are 10 years later.
Yeah.
Love you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it. And it wasn't long after that I had a business plan already.
Okay.
I'd been working on it. And I truly, it wasn't my intent or my angle to work with my partner and or other family members, but it ended up going that route. But I'm very happy it ended up going that route.
Working as a couple has its tricky parts.
It does. I'm sure you could answer that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works both ways.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard because even though you're working together, you're not necessarily together. And so I think having brief moments of break time and vacation, if you can squeeze them in, are important.
Yeah, separate to that, because it becomes that becomes your life, doesn't it? So it's like where is that separation sometimes?
Yeah, no, it's definitely.
Did you sort of rope her into it, or?
Well, kind of.
Because her background's something
fashion, but her sister, on the other hand, I had become close to, and her background was already in hospitality.
Oh, okay.
And I saw her as this kind of force, and she still is. Alex is Davita's sister, and she is basically a very integral part of our whole.
I mean, everyone seems very
operation.
Present.
Yes.
Whenever we go to either of the restaurants, somebody's there,
Somebody's
or
around.
multiple.
Yeah.
Or...
Oh yeah. Sometimes too many of them.
Especially at the bar at Bartolo. It's not a very big bar.
No.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, Alex, her background is hospitality. She actually worked. She did PR for Bobby Flay years ago.
Nice.
With a couple other people that are now influencers. Or
Awesome.
whatnot. So that was it. But it was within maybe 2 years of us dating that we gathered enough everything to lock it down.
That's great.
That's
and
so
so they're your partners in both Ernesto's and Bartolo, which
Yes.
is your newer restaurant.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. About the new restaurant?
Yeah, about Bartolo.
Yeah, Bartolo is great. It's already in 4 months become
Can't get in right now.
a sensation. Yeah. But it really comes from true intent and reference, and it's a continuation of my love for Spain, particularly sit down restaurants where you can go in and have a nice meal. I think there's somewhat of a misconception sometimes that people don't realize that, for example, I remember you telling me you went to Ganbara and just sat upstairs, and I said, you can get a res in the dining room downstairs because it's very nice,
Yeah.
And it's that same
Commodore.
kind of feeling, even though this is
Yeah.
a little bit more influenced by what I love about Madrid. It's the same mentality where,
I mean, your space there at Bartolo is insane. It's beautiful.
Thank you,
And
yeah.
the different rooms and
we wanted to have it be this special thing with different rooms and different.
Well, it has that feeling of always being there.
Yes. Yeah.
You wouldn't, if you didn't know anything about the restaurant and you walked in, you wouldn't know it's only a few months old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the goal, to
Yeah.
kind of make it not feel like that. So we did something that I think, I wanted to open a place that you haven't really seen in anywhere else in New York, if maybe not the country, and I think we have. And it was really being very true to the cuisine, but still with our own spin on it. There's a lot, and when I say our own spin, I mean I'm influenced by a lot of chefs that I admire, and it's still classic Spanish gastronomy at its heart, but there's that little dish that has a little bit homage to old world France or something, like our filet rossini, or if we do a Meunier, which I think is still this kind of homage to classic restaurants that I feel to some degree have either gotten real bad or fallen by the wayside, or they don't stand up, they don't measure up. But I wanted to open a place that you could go to in the West Village that has that history of, at one time there were a lot of Spanish restaurants that were there.
Was that intentional to be in Little Spain where you opened?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of truth to that. We wanted to be that part of that continuance of what it once was. Everything's changed, but I thought, hey, if we're going to do it anywhere, let's do it here.
Why not? Yeah.
I mean, we talk about Fort Charles. That used to be a Spanish restaurant called El Charro, and it was downstairs. So I think we wanted to do it there. I worked in the Village on and off for years, so I wanted something that could have the foot traffic, could have this little box, but still feel, if you close your eyes, like a special restaurant you'd see in the outskirts of a neighborhood in Madrid. And I think we accomplished that, and all the things that we do. And it's different than Bartolo in the sense that we're doing different types of products, different meats, different preparations, more tableside things. And it's been very well received. So we're going to continue to do that.
That's great.
I did have one more question about Ernesto's.
Sure, please.
Why do you think it became a place that chefs love to dine? Because we've talked to many chefs.
Yeah.
Mark Murphy, Marcus Samuelson, even Eric Repair has talked about Ernesto's and how much they love it.
Well, I think it's really, as they say, the proof is in the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
I think when chefs are not working, I only make things that I want to eat. So I guess that makes me a good chef, because all these other good chefs want to go and eat it. But I think that's important. Everything that I do, it's not for some agenda to see if I can like this or appease to this.
Or curate the people coming.
No. I do everything because I believe in what I do, and I like it, and I love it. And I think the people that, you talk about Eric Repair, I have the utmost respect for him. He's an incredible chef and human being. But deep down, he's a real deal cook, and he's been around, and he knows what good food is. Mm-hmm. And I think people that come there, we get a tremendous amount of industry, and now they're trickling over into Bartolo too.
We got our first Bartolo recommendation on Eating with Experts the other day.
Who was that?
Michael Anthony from Gramercy Tavern, Lex Yard. That was the first one. I was like, it's going to happen at some point in the first few months. And now it's started.
He's great. But I think it's everything. I think it's the whole package. It's the food, the kind of angle of what we take, our level of connection, our service, our care. If I wanted to go a certain route and do a different type of cuisine, or not even cuisine, but level of restaurant, I would. But this is my comfort zone. This is what I like to do. And I think we get to do things that maybe other chefs don't want to do or don't try to do. I also think it's because we're doing stuff that you don't see anywhere else. So, when you want to eat the most developed type of, stewed tripe in this style, there's, different types of tripe all over the world. But
the in-house sausages.
Yeah, all the things we do, it's still a very high level of craft cooking that's referential and with intent, but it comes, our croquettes, they take a long time to make, and you have to cook that bechamel for 2 or 3 hours. You have to let it cool. Then you roll it, then we freeze it, then we take it out, then we dredge it, then we fry it, then we temper it. It's a whole, I think chefs get it.
Yeah.
And that's why on their night off where they come in and they have this incredible beverage, and you have someone like, incredible cocktail, or Daryl pouring you some sherry, and you bite into that paleta and chips and some croquettes and a nice gooey tortilla.
That dish went crazy.
That went extremely viral.
The jamon on the potato chips.
That right away, we opened in December 2019, so 3 months before COVID. So I don't know, I think who it was, but this big influencer posted it, and within seconds it went everywhere.
Was that intentional that you made a dish like that? Was it inspired by something you've had before?
Yeah,
or how did that come about?
Yeah, again, I've had, potato chips in Spain are kind of a thing, and I've seen them kind of on pinchos where it's a little bit on it, but I think I saw it, I really took it to the next level and built this whole
the layers,
volcano of our chips.
People always called it like the Devil's Tower or something, right?
This whole volcano of paleta.
But you
chips.
did say people would come in, and a few people would say, "Oh, it's salty." You're like, "Yeah, it's potato chips and jamon."
Yeah, it's supposed to be salty. That's why
it's perfect drinking.
Keep drinking. So that was it.
It's a bar food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when we first did it, our first beverage director, Sarah Morrissey, she'd get really angry because we used to plate it not in a lip bowl but on these little plates, people would be eating and just spill everywhere. She'd be like pissed, like
A little crunch up chips over
yeah, constant stuff everywhere. So, yeah, but I think obviously I think sometimes when you create a dish and you see something, I mean, even as a chef, I understand composition and color and shapes and how it's going to be going on a plate and all those things. And I put that into consideration, whether we're doing the paleta and chips all the way to how we at Bartolo and everyone wants the fried eggs with the fries and shrimp.
I mean, that's an
my
ultimate
God.
bar dish. If you want, if
Yeah.
I was just going to go out solo,
Yeah.
I'd come to the bar and order that. It's like a
or the the butter and anchovy thing, So, but yeah, all the dishes, they have there's it comes from reference, but there's still intent and how it becomes calculated and then executed. It's forecasted, and we practice. Like anything, you want to make sure it's right. We made sure the chips are right. We got the right kind of jamon. It's tempered properly. It's built properly, and
what kind of jamon is it?
Well, it's paleta, meaning it's from the shoulder. It's boneless shoulder that we use for the slices, which is great. And it's Cinco Jotas, which I think is one of the premier jamon embutido companies in Spain. Do I think there's other ones that can compete? Sure. But it's for what we do, it's one of the best, and they're consistent and they're reliable, and the product's good, so we stick with them for now.
Nice. On that topic, this is kind of a viewer question, which was a random thing. A mate texted me this morning.
Who did?
And a mate texted me this morning. Actually, it's Daniel from Madonna Bakery up in the Bronx. Have you ever been there? Like up to Arthur Avenue? You should go. They like 100-year-old bakery.
Okay.
One of his aunts was like born in the bakery, and they had to warm her up next to the thing. It's just a old school story, and they're still doing it. Amazing olive bread, the best cannoli in New York.
Right.
But he asked if I knew anywhere to get a whole like leg of jamon, if you can get that anywhere. Where would you recommend to get that?
Well, retail, you can go to Despaña.
Despaña,
in Soho,
yeah.
On Broome Street. They're great. That you can get one, I think, right there from the shop. They have them. It's probably set you back, I don't know, $900 to $1,200, maybe more depending on what you get. But the great thing is you can keep them, forever in your kitchen.
Oh, so just keep breaking out when you host?
You you put it on the wooden vessel that it should be mounted on.
Mm-hmm.
You can leave it out. When in Spain, I remember going to my friend's house in Valencia, and when we get up in the morning, make some toasted bread, pan con tomate, a little tomato, a little orange juice, coffee, and then jamon. We just cut it right there.
Oh, in the morning.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh, for breakfast.
That
Maybe a
sounds
couple
great.
of fried eggs. Yeah, I mean that's living, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really living. So we got a jamon leg as a gift, and I said to Davida, I want to mount it and put it in the kitchen, but we have 2 cats, so she's like,
let me gone.
so we're building as we speak a door from the kitchen to the living room because we don't have one, just because we want to eat the jamon
Solely for protecting the jamon.
Exactly. and I guarantee the cats will still figure out a way to get in there, but we want to do it. Hopefully it'll work.
Are you guys in Manhattan?
We're in Carroll Gardens, Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, for years
Beautiful.
we lived in Manhattan. I mean, even when we met, we lived in Manhattan, and then during the pandemic, we moved across the water, and we've been there, 4 or 5 years now. So
Nice.
it's nice. It's actually pretty quick to get here from there. It's
Yeah,
not that far.
yeah. It's not bad.
So,
What do you think about the current food media landscape?
well, I think my real opinion,
Be
food media, like critics and journalism.
Well-
or,
all of the spectrum.
I feel like you've been on both sides, both ends of that.
yeah.
Like Grub Street Steak Piece, or like, best new restaurants of 2025.
Sure.
So that's quite,
Yeah.
you could have an opinion because you've seen both sides.
I mean, I think, and when you talk about journalists and writers, I think a lot of them, they need something to write about, so they're going to have an agenda, and I think most of the time, it's favorable. But even talking about the steak piece, in the end, I became friendly with Tammy, who wrote it, and she even asked me after that she wrote a piece about turbo,
Mm-hmm.
and asked me all about it. And it's funny because that piece she wrote was one of the most viewed pieces of the year in New York Magazine, and brought us a tremendous amount of business.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So look, if people have their opinion about something, fine. I'm at the point now where I know what I do and what I like, and
you don't have to please everyone, I guess.
No, I mean, look, some people might not like shit or give you their own viewpoint or rating or whatever, and that's on them, whether they're going to like it or not. I know who, quote unquote, champions what we do and likes us, and I think for better or for worse, it's a vast majority of the business, because at the end of the day, we do something that's honest and real, and
it's real for sure.
And there's no, it's full transparency, man. There's no nonsense, nothing to hide. The intent is all about being true to the craft and creating something great and real.
And honestly, the family element, you can feel that too.
Yeah,
because everyone really cares.
We care.
And the whole team, that extends to the team.
Yeah, not even just my actual family members, but it's a very family type of business, both places. So we try to bring that spirit every day into service. And I think, obviously, and I'm saying this as a chef, obviously the food is important, but I think to have a complete restaurant, the ambiance, the service has to be right there, if not more so, and make you feel
because
great.
There's so many restaurants in New York City.
Yes.
And I don't know, are there too many restaurants at this point, do you think?
I think everyone has a chance, has a shot, should have a shot. Do I think there's too many? I think sometimes it's saturated, because you asked me where did I go? I went somewhere, I can't remember where, because I feel like a lot of times you go to a place and you can't lock down what it was and when and where, because it didn't really leave like a tremendous impact on you, where maybe you used to like wait all week to go somewhere and it was great.
Well, I mean, people never used to go out to eat this much. And
no.
Especially in New York cities in general, but New York City, my cousin who lives in the East Village, very close to here, hasn't turned on her oven or her stove in 3 years.
Yeah, so that
that's insane.
I mean, I think my friend I was talking about earlier, he considers himself an avid diner. He goes out every night to eat. So, which, to be honest, I know how healthy that is. But
and you've also got a thing now where you've got that culture of like the 30, 45 day out reservations that you've got like this feast or famine, like this. You've got the hot spots, and then you've got places that are just, you can get a reservation whenever, and you're like, oh, you can get a reservation. Do I want to go there? Like,
right.
It's weird.
You don't want to go there. Yeah.
Like people like to join a queue, a line.
They do.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of all over the place, and it's hard to, I'll tell you this, I'm not waiting in line. But the state of the industry, as far as, I mean, you want to talk about like food influencers too and stuff?
Yeah, and and you can be honest,
I mean, any thoughts that come up that you...
I mean, look, I think they can serve a purpose. I think there's something to be said about people that, I think there are people that get involved that have no true, prior to what they're doing now, connection, and have made their way, connection meaning whether they worked in a restaurant ever. Not everybody, a lot of people have,
Yeah.
I mean, look, at this point, I think if you can figure out a way to make something, go for it, I think that there's a lot of people, I think, for example, you all have been a rare form of really tapping into real industry workers and getting a sense that, and with no, you don't see it much, where there's usually some sort of, I don't want to say an angle, but something that that it doesn't feel as clear, or this is just honest conversation.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's how our whole thing started, was asking our like chef and bartender friends where they do eat on their night off.
and I think that's a great thing, because I think a lot of people don't do that. But I think what you all are doing is very complete, and you've seen, since I met you all maybe a year ago, if not less than, you guys are blowing up. So and it's good. It's really good. but I think the state of the industry, like I said, any media for the most part is good. People have made a whole production that people have made not podcasts, but content about getting into a place early, right?
Yeah. There's a guy that's what he does.
You know that guy?
Yeah, Will. I don't know him, but Will,
something. Right?
Yeah.
It's good. I like his stuff because
his
it's
thing.
natural,
Yeah,
It's not like, oh, I'm like sometimes we get into that where we're like, oh, we're just making a video, and that's not what we want to do it because we want to tell people stories about the industry. We want to share experiences we're having, and we're not in it to make videos,
right? Right.
And I think he's just going and he's sharing his experience.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I think if you're getting it kind of that unfiltered, why not? It's good.
This is a random one I've got on there. Do you still drink 3 quarts of cold brew a day?
I've cut down to 2.
That is crazy. I read that and I was like, wait, let me convert that to pints. And
it's a lot. It's too much. My cardiologist is not happy with
Oh my God.
Just constant buzz.
Yeah.
If I have a few sips of Lauren's, she gets like this nitro cold brew from sometimes, and she doesn't announce when she comes in if it's like coffee or cold. Or
it's called Rocket Fuel, and it's a New
Oh
Orleans
yeah,
coffee.
oh yeah.
And I'll be like,
It's really
was this the Rocket Fuel today? Because I'm
well, through the opening of Bartolo, I started working again with, the majority of the people in the kitchen. All the guys are like 28 and under, and they all drink Celsius.
Everyone's 28.
Yeah,
I swear.
yeah. Well, some of them are.
You've got like a
Everyone
young crew in there.
Yeah,
right?
they're young, and they're really good.
Yeah,
they're really talented. Some of the best people I've ever worked with.
Yeah,
they're really dedicated.
They seem like a young, like thirsty crew that want to learn.
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're thirsty after work too.
Yeah.
At the bar.
Did you go anywhere last night after?
Last night, did I go anywhere
after the event?
Yeah, we went to a bar around a couple blocks down on Broadway in Williamsburg called Rossi's, little dive bar.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I go plenty of bars, that's for sure.
Yeah. Your rotation is Long Island Bar, right? And
Long Island Bar. Now that we're at Bartolo, I'll go to there's a bar we like to go to called Johnny's, which is across the street from Don Angie.
Okay.
It's like one of the classic dives. They actually wrote an article, it might have been the Times, about it, paired it with Milano's Bar, which is right next to Velado's, and between that and Estella. And but the Celsius is no joke. You have one of those and you're flying. Yeah, they're good.
All right. Well, while we're on that, we might as well do it to finish.
Yes.
Chef, what are some of your favorite restaurants in New York?
I love Maximi's great. Zimmy's is great. Katz's is great. If you want to call Russ and Daughters a restaurant, I mean,
they got a cafe now.
They had a cafe. I love going there. There's so many. Uncle Lou in Chinatown is one of my favorites. I've never been there.
Uncle Lou?
Uncle Lou.
No.
It's awesome.
What type of food? Like
Chinese?
Cantonese?
Yeah, it's classic, but they do it really well.
Cool.
I'd say I haven't been in a few months, but I think Bridges is really sharp, really good cooking. Sam's a great cook. And
did they just get a star, Bridges?
They got a Michelin star. Yeah.
Yeah, they were
one of the
4 new ones, I believe.
Yeah, he's really good. I'm trying to think, where else have I been recently?
I mean, you were raving about Sons last time.
Oh, well, she's up there as one of my favorite chefs, and she's a really good.
Have you been to Lei Wine Bar?
Yes, I have. Awesome.
I really liked it.
I went once. I loved it.
Yeah, Alexia recommended that. Alexia Duchesne from Le Chêne. Have you been to Le Chêne?
Been to Le Chêne too.
Yeah.
Great too.
Really
so
cool.
you're helping me remember. My brain is shot.
I honestly have to look through my photos.
Lauren is always like, we had this like short rib, this thing, and I'm like, yeah.
No, I had a phenomenal meal at Le Chêne. Alexia is a great chef. Really talented.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
She's a chef.
No messing around.
Yeah.
So
she's so chill though too at the same time. She's one of the calmest people in the kitchen I've ever seen.
Yeah, she's really good. Really good. I love what she's doing.
Another couple team.
Yes.
Her,
I think we need to do a whole. We might
You
have to
should
do
do
an episode on power couples in the industry. Because there are a lot.
There are a lot.
And you don't always know it because one is behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're great. I love going there. I love Sons. I love Bridges. I love Demo. I don't know if you've ever been there.
We tried to go
Carmine.
the other day and it just had a sign closed today.
I love Szechuan cooking.
Yeah.
There's a place in kind of Hell's Kitchen, Chelsea called Chi, C-H-I, I think that's what it's called. Incredible. If I'm in Williamsburg, we'll go to Birds of a Feather,
Nice.
Szechuan Mountain House on St. Mark's.
Yeah. Have one in Flushing as well.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. What about bars then? So we got onto it a little bit. Long Island Bar,
bars.
Montero.
Long Island Bar, Montero Bar, Johnny's Bar, Brooklyn Inn, which I said I love.
Yeah.
If I'm still in the West Village, I'll go to Tavern on Jane. I'll go to, if I'm going a little more cocktails, I'm right over there.
We might have to do a little Ryan Bartlow bar crawl.
Yes.
Sounds like
Yeah.
some good ones.
Katana Kitten's
Yeah.
fun if you want cocktails, you know. Even if you really want to get crazy, go back to Chinatown. I mean, Upstairs Bar on Canal Street. You ever been there?
No.
Oh, you have to go. Right on the. It's been there forever on Orchard and Canal. When I was 25, I used to go there. It
Right.
used to be called SWAT, and now you're seeing. Now it's become such a place. You go second floor. They have karaoke there all night. The food's decent, and about 2 months ago, John Hamm was eating at Bartolo. 2 nights later, he was at the karaoke bar, and one of our servers, or
You're like, we could be friends.
he was there. So
Wow.
that's a great bar that I've been going to forever.
What's the craziest night out in New York you've ever had?
I don't know if I can say it. On
You're most PC crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have them all the time. It might have been last week. You know?
Okay.
I
You
don't
seem
know.
like a
Great, love
person that
that.
actually goes out and dines, you know? Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
speak to a lot of chefs, and sometimes it's like, I really just stick to my neighborhood now, or I'm not going out
Or
as
I'm
much
too
for whatever
busy.
reason.
No,
Yeah.
I try to make the rounds when I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
We go out when we can. I think wherever we go, it's always an adventure. But I think it's important to, if you have the time, to make the time
Yeah.
to go out. I had where else did I go? I actually had a great meal at Smithereens right over here.
Oh, yeah.
It's right here.
That was cool.
That was cool. The original ops, and you gotta
Bushwick,
go.
nah.
The calzone there is the only one I think that compares is probably Lucali's. You know.
Oh
Ooh.
yeah, that's the move at Lucali's, really, is to
The
get
calzone.
Yeah.
get
So
the
yeah, I mean,
calzone.
again, I live in Carroll Gardens, so sometimes if I'm over there, Lucali's, go see Billy at Red Hook Tavern. I still, we like doing it all.
Yeah.
We'll go there. I'll go to Hometown. We'll hang out in Red Hook, have a day, walk
Yeah.
around. It's fun.
Carroll Gardens is great too.
Carroll
You've got
Gardens
lots-
is
a lot of
great.
stuff
There's
there,
a
like-
lot. I told you, yeah. I mean, whatever. I saw Sal last night.
Yeah. Was he there?
He was
we,
there.
We missed.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
mean,
see him.
we were just stood around like your stall the whole
Yeah.
night. You
Yeah.
say about your staff, it was like with Robin was
Yeah.
there, like your
Oh,
chef
Robin
was
was
there.
there. Well, yeah, but we had, everyone wants the matrimonial. What can I say?
I didn't get
Yeah.
one. I was stood there.
We sold
40
out,
minutes
man.
chatting.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'll get one in a minute. I've had it a lot before.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we were out before anybody.
Yeah. Done.
Anything
We were
else
one
you
of
want
those.
to chat about? We have
That's it.
5
Ryan's got a
minutes.
dinner. So
Yeah.
we.
I got to meet Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robin's
It's her
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well,
Cool.
thank you so much.
You're
This was
welcome.
fun.
Thank you.
And
Thanks, mate.
hopefully we'll get past, 90% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes, I believe. So if we make it past 3, we'd love to have
Come
you.
back on.
Come back on. Yeah, let's do it. You did all your
Perfect.
statistics. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're gonna make it.
Cheers.
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 Thank you.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.